Welcome math students. In this video we'll be looking at the midpoint of a line segment. So you can see on your screen at the moment we have a point number 1 that has an x and y coordinate, and another point number 2 that has an x and y coordinate. Now these 2 points have a line or a segment going from point 1 to point 2, and we're using this particular equation to calculate what is the middle point. So it's equal to x1 plus x2, the two x values, divided by 2. And then the y component or the y coordinate is y1 plus y2 divided by 2. It's halfway in between the two. A very straightforward equation, so let's look at this in more detail. So the midpoint of a line segment between a point x1 and y1, point 1, and point 2, x2, y2 is found by using the following equation. And we just presented that one. So the midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So this is going to give me an x and y coordinate. So here's an example, the diagram that we had and we just looked at. Another way of representing this midpoint in a line segment is via the following graph. So if we have a look here, we've got point 1 that has an x value of 1 and a y value of 1, and point 2 that has an x value of 2 and a y value of 2. Now to find the midpoint, it simply is as follows. We take the two x values, x1 and x2, we add them together and we divide by 2. So we're finding the average or the middle point between x1 and x2. Likewise, on the y-axis, we take the y1 point and we add it to y2 and divide by 2. So this works out the average of the y's. So the middle point of this line segment between point 1 and point 2 is the average of x1 and x2 and the average of y1, y2. Let's look at some examples. Example 1, find the midpoint of the line segment joining point 2, 4 and point 10, 8. So point number 1 has the coordinates of x of point 1 is 2 and y of point 1 is 4. Point number 2 has the coordinates of x of point 2 is 10 and y of point 2 is 8. Here's our equation. Let's now sub the numbers. x1 is 2 and x2 is 10. We substitute them in. And y1 is 4 and y2 is 8. We substitute those values in. So 2 plus 10 gives me 12. And 4 plus 8 gives me 12. They're both then divided by 2, which gives me the coordinates of 6. 6 is our midpoint. Let's look at that graphically. Point 1 has got the coordinates x is 2 and y is 4. Point 2 has the coordinates of x is 10 and y equals 8. And the midpoint we just found is x equals 6, y equals 6. Bang in the middle. A nice visual way of supporting our equation. Example number 2. Let's find the midpoint of the line segment joining -2, 8, and 4, 2. So our point 1 has got the x value of -2 and the y value of 8. Point 2 has got the x value of 4 and the y value of 2. So this is point 2, so we call it subscript x2 and subscript y2. Here's our equation for the midpoint. Let's sub our numbers in. So x1 was a -2, x2 was 4, y1 was an 8, and y2 was a 2. Combine them together, -2 plus 4 is 2 over 2. 8 plus 2 is 10 over 2. So our midpoint is an x of 1 and a y of 5. Visually again, here's our point 1 with -2 and 8. Here's our point 2 with 4 and 2. And our midpoint is found right in the middle with the coordinates x equals 1 and y equals 5. Moving on to example number 3. Find the midpoint of the line segment joining -2, 2 and 12, 10. So point 1 has got an x value of -2, a y value of 2. Point 2 has got an x value of 12 and a y value of 10. Our equation now to work out the midpoint is as such. Let's substitute in our values. So x1 is a -2, x2 is a 12. y1 is 2, y2 is 10. -2 plus 12 gives me 10, 2 plus 10 gives me 12, and those coordinates when we divide them by 2 give us the coordinates for the midpoint x equals 5 and y equals 6. And here it is visually. Point number 1 has coordinates of -2, 2. Point number 2 has coordinates of 12, 10, and the midpoint can be located at the point 5, 6. Example number 4. Find the midpoint of the line segment joining the coordinates 2, 10, and 12, 0. So point 1 has got an x value of 2 and a y value of 10. Point 2 has got an x value of 12 and a y value of 0. Here's our equations for the midpoint, just averaging out the two x's and the two y's. x1 is 2, x2 is 12. They're subbed in. y1 is 10, y2 is 0, and they're subbed in. That gives us 2 plus 12 is 14 all over 2, 10 plus 0 is 10 all over 2, and that factorizes down to a midpoint of x equals 7 and y equals 5. So here's our graphical representation. Point number 1 has the coordinates of 2, 10. Point number 2 has the coordinates of 12, 0. And the midpoint has the coordinates x equals 7 and y equals 5 as calculated by our formula. One final example, something a little bit different. Example number 5. Find the value of a and b when point 1 has the coordinates of x equals a and y equals 8. And point 2 has the coordinates of x equals 8 and y equals b. And of course we have the midpoint given to us of x equals 6 and y equals 5. Our equation as we've used before. Let's sub in our values. So we have a midpoint value of x equals 6 and y equals 5. We have the x1 of a and the x2 of 8. We then have the y1 of 8 and the y2 of b. We've subbed all these values in. Let's make some sense of them. So we know that the coordinate 6 and our midpoint comes from this particular fraction before the comma. So 6 is equal to a plus 8 over 2. Let's multiply the 2 on both sides to get rid of it as the denominator and move it to the left-hand side. That gives me 12 is equal to a plus 8. What number plus 8 gives me 12? A equals 4. We've found the solution for point 1, a equals 4. On the other side of our midpoint equation, we know the midpoint y value is 5, and that's being calculated by averaging the two y values. So this is 8 plus b over 2 equals 5. Now again, if we get rid of the divide by 2 on the right hand side by multiplying both sides by 2, that will leave us with 10 equals 8 plus b. What number plus 8 gives us 10? That's right, b equals 2. So let's just check this. We can see that our midpoint was an x of 6 and a y of 5, our midpoint. Our point number 1 had a value of 8 as the y, and we calculated its x value a to be 4. And then we found with point 2, the x coordinate was x and the y coordinate was our unknown value b, which we discovered to be 2. And that fits our graph perfectly. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's explained how to calculate the midpoint between 2 points of a segmented line. If you've enjoyed this and learned something from it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.